we will, let's get started. All right. So as most of you know, I don't know if anybody's new here, the strategy that we use here during my sessions is a strategy I've been using for 20 plus years now. And it's just quantifying the market's real supply and demand at different price points so that we can figure out where prices are going to turn and where they're going to go. As we know, prices always turn at price levels where supply and demand is out of balance. At price levels where you don't have key levels, significant unfilled buy and sell orders, those are the areas where prices move through fairly quickly. So again, our goal is to identify where prices are going to turn and where they're going to go. To do that, we identify the key areas of demand, the key areas of supply. Again, that's where prices turn. And then all the areas on the chart where you don't have supply and demand or significant supply and demand, those are our profit zones. So let's go ahead and do that. I've already taken I primarily spend my time swing trading the futures markets, trading the equity index futures, the Forex futures, energy, metal, and so on, and bonds. When I am sitting in front of the computer, especially in the morning around the open, I'll do some short-term active trading. I have one trade already taken today, and I'll share that with you here. It's this one. So just took a quick little bounce off this supply zone, but I'm actually doing it again here. Okay, so it's something that might seem a little odd based on the rules that we talk about, because what we say is get in that first time, and once it's not fresh, be very careful with it. But most of the time what you're going to see is, especially if you're short-term trading and watching, you're going to see this initial move into a level. Prices will quickly come down, and then another move into the level. And typically that's when the main move happens. Right? So, but again, you can just, as a short-term active trader, depending on how active you want to get, you can take bounces off levels like this, 2-3 times often. Okay? Anyway, does anybody, I would love to hear what you folks trade, just because that'll help me figure out which markets we should look at here. And as always, I've got a huge list of markets on the right, but if you have markets you want to take a look at, go ahead and type them into the chat. But it helps me to understand, what you guys trade so that we can focus on those markets also. Oops. All right, let me put this chart back. Sure, we can look at the yen. I was going to, certainly a big one on the list. Yeah, spot FX, no problem. That's mainly what we look at during these sessions. Another thing I'd like to know, because again, I'm here for you. Here's one we had last time, if you guys remember that one. Supply, entry, target. Now that trade worked out fine, but let's go find another one. Also, too, I'm here for you. So if you have any questions, if you're not trading successfully, if you're not achieving your financial goals for whatever reason, certainly, if it's a question you're comfortable asking in the chat, go ahead and do it. I'll also put my email address in here, too. Okay. Again, any questions you have, if you're not achieving your trading or financial goals, we can certainly help you figure that out. Okay, dollar yen. So let's look both from a bigger picture and smaller time frame trading opportunity point of view. The big picture, this is something we talk about often. Here's a daily chart, right? So what we want to know here is, are we closer to supply? Where's demand, where's supply? Which one are we closer to? Where's the big profit zone? What we see, the situation here is, we have some, I'm just going to combine a couple levels down here. All right, we have that sitting below. Okay, so there's that. So knowing that we have, and it's not often that we have two areas this close to each other. So what this tells me is I'm not at all interested in trading these levels as is. In other words, I'm not interested in buying a pullback to this demand zone with a stop below and a target right here. Nor am I interested in shorting the supply zone for a move down to the demand zone. I'm interested in much bigger risk-reward opportunities and scenarios. This is not it. However, now I know where my big picture levels are. So as a short-term trader, when we now go look for small time frame opportunities, I absolutely know where these larger time frame levels are. Does that make sense? Okay, so now we want to look for, let's go down to the smaller time frames and figure it out. What I just said there and what we just did makes this much easier. Okay, so we know we've got some, demand that comes in, down in here. So when we start with current price and go down and left, remember these pivot lows are not demand zones, right? They would never qualify as demand zones for our strategy. We do have an area of interest right here. Okay. And now we want to figure out where supply is. We're already down to a 15-minute chart. So let me go to a smaller time frame because we just don't have any supply, at least on this time frame, until we get up here. So we have a nice big rally base drop. It really starts right here. This is a key level, so I don't think we need to take this all the way back to the top. Okay. And the other reason we go down a time frame is to investigate our area. And when we do that, we say, you know what? This is not as strong as it looks. It looks okay. But these are all pullbacks into this area below. So this is actually where the fresh demand is, not where we had our line. And that's why we always use, more than one time frame. Usually it's not 3 or 4, but definitely more than one. And I'm actually going to move this down here. I'm sorry. Now we've got our level right. Okay. So now by knowing where the levels are at in the bigger time frame, by identifying these smaller time frame levels, we now see that we have a nice big profit zone. Okay. Pivot highs and lows are not supply and demand levels. That's pivot highs and lows according to conventional technical analysis. Those are support and resistance levels. We would never, but there's a big flaw with that school of thought. Okay. Think about it. You're familiar, obviously, with support and resistance, finding 2 points and drawing a line. Right? Is that kind of what you're getting at there? Let's walk through that logic just a little bit. And by the way, I'll move on off this chart. So we would just, again, you're buying or shorting at the level with a target of just before the opposing level and a stop on the other side of the level. Just so everybody's crystal clear on that. So let's move on. It looks good. But again, remember we started with the larger time frame, which is always what we want to do. Okay. Any other markets, or you want me to just go through my list? And I'll walk you through. All right, let's just go take a look. So just wanted to give you a little update. So I am in this again. So I took this for a little bounce off this level a little bit earlier. And just so you can see this stuff work out or not work out in real time. So I took this here for a few $100s. Short again here, but only got filled on one contract. So I've got a much bigger order than that here, but only got filled on one. So that's usually, that obviously tells you there's quite a bit of supply up there typically. So we'll see. All right, let's keep going. Another key market coming in today is, we'll just look at this one and then we'll go back to the spot FX markets. Oil, which again, there are many currencies that are very connected to oil. But look at oil here on the daily chart. Okay. Here we go. We have a number of supply zones on top of each other, telling us that, let's say this lower level didn't even work out. You still have multiple supply zones up here. Odds of oil trading lower in the near future is pretty high. The risk of oil going above 50, extremely unlikely. You would have to have some very unforeseen event, for that to happen. So now take that information and think which currencies, are most, are most connected to oil. All right, Canada, and and others. All right, let's get back to the spot FX markets. Any markets in particular you want to look at? Just type them in the chat. And again, any trading issues you have, just let me know. We can chat about them. There's an old level, worked out fine, but we wouldn't take this again. So let me get rid of that. The biggest challenge that I see people have is just the ability to keep this as simple as they need to make it work. Most people overcomplicate it. It's just about finding, the levels. We're looking at a daily chart of the Canadian dollar. So you don't have any key supply zones until you get above this range. And you really don't have any key demand zones until, you get down back to about the middle of the range. So I think we'll pass on this one. Let me just pull up the 5-minute chart, see if there's any active trading income opportunities here. And the answer is no. All right, let's keep going. Here's the pound. Actually, let's go over to the dollar first. I think most of you are familiar with the dollar and kind of been with me in these sessions. Remember we said at the 103.40 up here, that's a key turning point for a move all the way back down to here, and that's what's happening. In fact, that's probably the only trade you need to take all year. But anybody take this up here? Anybody in our sessions when we were going over this? But again, as a longer-term trader, you just get in these trades and you hang on to them. And again, we're playing for a move all the way back down to here. Let's also look at this on a smaller time frame because the dollar obviously impacts everything. So let's do that. Okay, so I'm down to the 60-minute chart, and here are probably our most important levels that we're going to look at today. Here we have this level right here, 96.75. Another level sitting on top of it, 96.95. When we look to the left, this is the level that took price down through this. So these are both key areas. If we were to combine them, I'm going to take the top of this one and the top of this one and just combine these two areas. These are two areas, we're just making one. Okay, so there's that and this. All right, there you go. And now when I back out here, you'll see, oh, never mind. It looks like a big area. It's not. That's 20 cents. It's nothing. But if the dollar comes up into this area, and it can turn, right before it actually too, but if the dollar comes into that area, I'd very much expect it to stop rallying and turn lower. So any major currency against the dollar, we'd be looking for that to come into demand and turn higher. Okay, let's keep going here. So I'm going to take that level off just because this chart always stays up here. And notice too that out of all the charts on the screen, the dollar is the chart that is always up there, right? I always have that dollar chart up there. It's been up there for, like I said, probably almost 20 years. It's the most important chart we'll look at when we're trading anything. Okay, let's keep going. Next market, we can look at the Aussie dollar. Again, if you have markets you want to look at, just let me know. Aussie dollar, again, is getting dangerously close. This is a level we put in FX Street over a year ago. And it's an area that's holding up. And even if eventually it doesn't, you have more supply zones on top of this. Okay. So now let's come down to smaller time frames. And when we do, you'll see there's not a whole lot to do on the demand side until prices get come lower. Look at the 4-hour chart here. 75.10. Right. There's no significant demand until about the 75.10 area. So let's go all the way down to a really small time frame, see if there's any active income opportunities here for us. Actually, this level that we're into now doesn't look bad. Let me just blow this up a little bit. Yeah, so we do have some supply here. The challenge is your profit zone is not great, so that would disqualify this opportunity. Prices just go a teeny bit higher. They can certainly fall back down to here, but I don't know that that's a trading opportunity. I wouldn't want to take it. See how there's just not enough of a profit zone? Okay, so the lack of a profit zone is telling you probably not a good idea to take the trade. Okay, let's go back and look at another one now. So again, big time frame, nothing to do till we go a little bit higher or quite a bit lower. Small time frames, right in here, there's probably not a whole lot to do. If anything, we'd be looking to possibly buy pullbacks down to this demand zone right here. Okay, because a lot of this supply up here has been, filled, removed, taken out. So we'd be looking to buy a pullback down here to the demand zone. Okay. Let's keep going. Dollar Swiss, in this, we off the news, we a lot of these markets rallied, like I had that NASDAQ short entry. That was off that news and that number. A lot of markets just rallied right up to the, supply and fell. This one did the same. What we can do here is, let me blow this up a little bit. We can possibly look to short a rally up into here for a move down to at least back down to the origin of this move, this rally higher. Does that make sense? Yeah, I see in the chat there, as far as explaining how to identify correctly where the supply and demand zones are, yeah, there's not enough time in these sessions for the complete lesson, but there's plenty of free videos and articles and stuff to help put that puzzle together. Okay. So we'd be looking at a short entry right up in here with a stop, I'd say 5 pips above this, and a target of back down to the origin of the rally. Again, not a huge profit zone, but because of that spike in price in most of these markets with the number, that's kind of what we have. Okay, let's look at some more markets. Let's go to the Euro Yen. What's this? Oh yeah, a lot of old lines in this this chart. This is a great market. The reason why the Euro Yen is on my list is because if you take a look at the larger time frames, we've finally broken out of this range after being in it for almost 2 months. Well, more than at least 2 months. Meaning we can now we now understand the real supply and demand scenario in this price range. Obviously, demand exceeds supply. The market has now told us that with prices moving higher. So we now know the profit zone is on the upside. So we can buy pullbacks to demand as we go down to smaller time frames. Okay, so you can see here, and I know there's been a big move. It's just a one-day move, so not a big deal. Now we have an area right here, and we'll go down to smaller time frames. Because of that move, we now know what we want to do, and I'll combine a couple levels, and then we'll go down to a smaller time frame and look for the same thing. Well, just this area up here. We'll just make it a, let's put this right here. And I'll explain all this in a second. So we've got multiple levels of supply up there. So let's make that a blue line. So we would look to buy a pullback into this area with an initial target of this blue line. I would say an ultimate target of this blue line, with a stop just below this upper area, which puts it kind of in the middle of this lower area. You don't need a stop below this lower area. Okay? But now knowing that, so that entry point, well, let's see, that's all the way down it. Okay. There's plenty of other things to do before that. So this is down at the 124.50. So now for active trading income, you have 3 key levels here of demand. This is one I would be interested in taking right here. Reason being, price attempted to come down to that level, but couldn't. So what does that tell us about the supply-demand equation here? Right, nice big imbalance. And then, of course, you have more levels down here. Obviously, a target of this really nice rally base drop supply up in here. Okay. So again, your target's always going to be before that. And again, for those that are new, I'm just following the rules that we lay out. Everything we do with the strategy is 100% rule-based. You want to do that because you want to take all the thinking out of the equation. Okay. Okay. No questions on that? And of course, your stop is just minimal price points below this. Again, very rule-based. We can go over some of that stuff next time as far as the rules themselves. Okay, let's keep going. Any other markets to look at? I think we've gone through all the majors, and we looked at the euro yen. Let's take a look at I don't have any markets with key opportunities on my list, but let's see here. Yeah, no, I think we're good. Okay. So again, if you have any questions, there's my email address. If you're at all struggling to figure trading out, or you're not achieving your trading or financial goals, just shoot me an email. I'm happy to help if we can. And I think we found a couple good trades. Let's see how those work out. And again, only take trades when you're good with the risk. We know you're good with the reward. Just make sure to good with the risk, and then take the trade like a robot. No thinking. All right, thanks. We'll see you next time.